I know that's kind of a big criticism with a lot of my videos, but frankly, I mean, especially after the Bless event, I think we all can realize that you really just can't trust anything that you see or even what you play. Even when a game is fully released, you guys have played BDO and ArcAge, you know that MMOs, living, breathing worlds, you don't really know what they're gonna truly turn into pretty much ever until the community is really all playing together. And even then, the publishers, the developer can pull the rug or go in a different direction, like we've seen with basically every MMO ever, like World of Warcraft, focusing on endgame dungeon raiding instead of, well, the Warcraft in the open world. So talking about Ashes of Creation, a game that isn't out yet, it really should go without saying, but this is a speculation video. I'm literally going to be speculating on what the game might be like eventually, and even then, I'm still, like, we're just talking about vagueness here. We're just talking about the ambiguity as a whole. Like, we're talking about the amoebus direction that the game is going into, and kind of a meta commentary on crowdfunded games as a whole, at least historically what we've seen of crowdfunded games, and right now for MMOs is a lot of these sandbox games. So yeah, games kind of similar-ish to Ashes of Creation. But let's do it. Let's speculate on Ashes of Creation. You should know beforehand, you know, I'm going to say some good things, I'm going to say some bad things, and I'm going to say some things that are both good and bad. And, you know, fanatics, don't freak the fuck out, guys. My last video was literally me just hyping up the game. And for people who are cynical, then, you know, don't just circle jerk hate me because I'm saying some good things. There is good and bad in things that are happening right now with Ashes of Creation. And that's what I want to talk about, is what is happening with the game. Not specifically the mechanics, we're not talking about the combat. I'm not going to speculate on what might be in the game, what monsters are going to be in the game, what the story is going to be like. That could be like a whole nother video, but I'm just going to talk about the development. I'm going to talk about the crowdfunded nature and the nature of testing in the game. So right now you're going to watch a lot of videos of people very excited about the game. It seems that the testing is going well, it's going great, and honestly it's really fun that they're doing like a Battle Royale, which is gameplay you're seeing in the background. It's really fun that they're testing these different battlegrounds, Battle Royale, probably arenas soon, or if they've already done that, they're probably going to have dungeon testing, and they're even probably going to give us a slice of the open world to romp around in. You know, maybe a city or two, we could do some sieges. Who knows, guys, what little modules they'll put in, but we can see that they're focusing on module-like testing. Now, normally this isn't an issue, but historically, we've seen other games doing the same. Historically, games that were supposed to be sandbox games, such as Star Citizen and Crowfall, and basically almost every other one. And a lot of developers, veteran developers, and just random casuals would say, well, that's how you make an MMO. That's how you just make games, period. And you're not wrong. To an extent, you know, you got to be testing these mechanics. You got to be testing the netcode piece by piece and building it up. And, you know, there's a lot going on with Ashes of Creation, and it's really fun that they're doing battle royales, man. It's fun. It's cool. I'm sure it's fun for the developers. They get to try out some experimental stuff, which is kind of the purpose of Ashes of Creation, to be this experimental MMO. And it's really cool to get everyone hyped up about it, you know, especially in this moment of development, the crowdfunding, all that good stuff. The investors are probably loving it, jerking off to it. It's all cool stuff, right? But it's also kind of scary. As an MMO player who's played a lot of different MMOs, of course, firsthand, I know how things can lie to you, which is why so often I omit bullet points, mechanics, press, you know, information. And people say I don't do research, but it's actually just because it can lie to you. So developers can say that they're making one type of game, which is Ashes of Creation, was supposed to be an open world sandbox PvP MMO focused on guild battles and like the sieging of cities and, you know, that sort of very specific MMO type of gameplay. But their testing so far has not quite hinted at that. I mean, maybe hinted, but has not revealed that yet. We're not seeing true MMO raids. We're not seeing true MMO gameplay. We're not seeing the economy. We're not seeing the social, you know, the guild tab and that, the sieging. And I know that we have seen technical siege gameplay of people on a castle, you know, actually getting raided. Technically, we have seen little snippets of that, but we haven't actually played it. We don't know the testing and we don't know anything. So nobody knows anything ever, which is why I generally omit research. Now, I do research, guys, but I omit talking about those specific things and regurgitating that information because it's not real. No matter what anybody says they played or does, which you guys should know from my Bless event, nobody knows. MMOs are living, breathing things. So what we can do and speculate on is the development of the game and the direction that it might go in. So what I can speculate and say is that I am worried that Ashes of Creation I'm worried it's actually going to be an amazing game. I'm worried that it will do so good that it will follow the trend that we're seeing with basically every other crowdfunded MMO, is that they elongate their crowdfunding, they elongate their development time, and they continuously pump out new monetization, like entirely new monetization, such as adding in subscription, adding in new tiers, the buy-in tiers, new betas, new testings, you get people to buy into the different beta tests, new like castles, buying castles, plots of lands, buying starships, things like that, man. Or allowing people to play in the different modules and maybe even gating access to that, which is what Life is Strange did. Doing all these different things to basically fuel or be fueled by the hype. So at the same time, they're fueling the hype, and then the people who are basically going to become the whales, even though it's not microtransactions technically, they're going to be buying into this stuff because they're already fanatics. You love the idea, you're sold on the concept, and then you do that. So when I see stuff like what Ashes of Creation is doing, it's a double-edged sword. We're seeing fucking battle royales and PvP, stuff, and they're testing all that, which they kind of need to do, and it is good, and it's like really exciting. And I think it's actually making the game better. It might even be an amazing game, and so far that's like what I'm excited about. It looks like an amazing game. But I don't think it's going to be a good MMO. I think it's going to take longer to come out than before. I think it's probably going to be a little bit more money hungry than we're expecting, despite what they've said so far, which every game ever has said it won't be pay to win, it won't have this and that, and then, oh wait, we have a tiered subscription service, oh wait, there will be loot boxes for mounts, etc. Etc. Oh, we're going to suddenly do expansions, even though we were adamant about not doing expansions. Stuff like that just can come out of nowhere, and it can ruin the game. You guys have lived through BDO and Arcade. You guys have lived through these different MMOs, the resurgences, the remakes, the fresh starts. We did it, we tried it, we give it second, third, fourth chances, because in my opinion, every game deserves it. And even if this game looked bad, which a lot of times, I do criticize games like Crowfall or what it's done, and how it looks in certain videos. But this game in particular just looks really good. Like, it genuinely has a polish. It has really good so far publishing, I think. There's just, on all fronts, it's looking really good, minus a little bit of shadiness whenever the game was coming out with the multi-level marketing kind of thing that they did, and some other slight dubiousnesses. But for the most part, like, the way the game is churning out, the way it's updating is cool, but I don't know if it's in the singular specific direction that was kind of promised to us in the Kickstarter. Originally, open world sandbox, guild-based PvP game. It's supposed to have like open world monster raids on cities and a few other little mechanics that all culminate to basically an open world combat-focused MMO. Guild combat MMO. That is really exciting. A living, breathing world with stories and legends that are made and broken and destroyed and forgotten and remade. Cities rise and fall, all sorts of awesome, cool stuff. You read the stories about EVE Online, stuff like that, except maybe even a little bit more permanent, a little bit more impactful in this game. It seems like really a second coming of kind of a combination of some theme park MMO ideas with properly put into with a sandbox game. I think it's really awesome, because we haven't had a really good sandbox MMO in a while, and there's this resurgence of the genre. Most Kickstarter MMOs are that, sandbox MMOs, but also historically we're seeing how they're being developed, and it seems like Ashes of Creation is kind of doing some same things. I mean, it's looking better, it's looking great, but so is Star Citizen. Star Citizen, little modules, selling little things, constantly adding a new monetization. Crowfall, while not looking as good in its development, is slowing down and chugging, still kind of doing some similar things. And we have this game that is honestly looking so good, and we all want to jump on the hype train, and many of us are. I would dare say most of us are, for the MMO community. But I don't know if it's going to be what it originally intended, and I don't know if that's a bad or good thing. As a critic for MMOs, I have to say that, I enjoy all games, from 1v1 card games, fighting games, to literal, big team battle royales, and MMOs. I enjoy all online interaction games. IO games are to super heavy roleplay MMOs. I like it all, and I think this is going to be a great game. But I'm worried that because of the success of the game, and because of the nature of the hype-fueled, Kickstarter crowd-funded origins of the game, that it's going to kind of devolve in a lot of ways. It's going to become uncompetitive, at least in terms of massively multiplayer PvP. It's not going to be as guild-focused, it's not going to be as economy-focused and crafting-focused and social in that respect. It's going to be more instantaneous and more instanced, which if you play Albion Online, which is a recent crowd-funded sandbox MMO, you know how it went from looking like Ultima to looking like, RuneScape without actually a lot of the hardcore gameplay, and definitely none of the quests. So, it becomes awkward. It becomes almost like it's like it's going through puberty and it doesn't quite know what it wants to be. But you know, it's in high school, it's got friends, you know, it's in a band, it's doing all right, and you know, it's having a good time, right? But it's not quite the matured, wise adult of a game that we really want. So I don't want another Albion Online, and hopefully it's going to be something a little bit more polished than something like Crowfall is turning out to be at the moment, and many other crowdfunded games like Life is Feudal. Oh my god. Hopefully, we are going to get a proper polished AAA, you know, I mean, it's indie, but there's AAA basically, AAA MMORPG in the sandbox genre. We have, you know, New World coming out as well to compete with it. But I'm just worried that we're going to have all these different compartments. It's going to have all these different areas, and then people are going to focus on just the one. You know, we saw what happened with World of Warcraft. We saw what happened with a lot of different games, and this is supposed to be a sandbox game. It might have some, you know, proper medieval fantasy kind of theme parkish elements to it, like in city life. Maybe some, you know, you do some guild stuff over here. There's going to be dungeons. There's going to be raids. I'm sure, but like the core concept, as amoebus and vague and grand and epic as it is still kind of something a little bit specific. And it's not battle royales. It's not 1v1 arenas. It's not quite that. And that's just what we're seeing tested now. So that's my only worry. And at the same time, it's good. You know, we could have these things. It could be a theme park sandbox game, a theme box, and it could be fantastic. You know, Arcade could have been an amazing game. Maybe this is like, you know, the next Arcade, but you know, better and actually good. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just a little bit, it's worrying. I'm a little bit worried. It's a little bit dubious if it's the direction that the MMO community wants. I think it's the direction that the general audience wants, that the really, I guess, like fanatical players are already in love with the ideas of the game. You know, they're already in love with it. It actually doesn't even matter what the game does. You know, because you're just in love with, hey, it's Ashes of Creation, that's the game I'm going to play. You know, the guild jumps on, you all spend the money, you get the biggest founder packs, you keep pumping in money to the game, all that good stuff. So you have your fanatics, you have the general audience, which I think is excited for this game, people who used to play MMOs or want to play MMOs, getting into it. But I think for the players like me and people who probably follow me, the people who really jump into MMOs and really sink their teeth into the MMO genre as a whole, I think we're hungry for a certain kind of game, and I don't know if that's Ashes of Creation. Probably will be a great game, but will it be the sieging guild versus guild, like city conquesting, you know, like giant waves of monster game that we wanted? Or is it going to be a game where everyone sits in the town and does instance dungeons and battle royales? That's really specifically it. Then again, we're just in testing. Then again, though, you know, the trends of Kickstarter games, the trends of MMO, that's it. That's all I can say. It's a double-edged sword. It's probably going to be good from what I